We've been delaying, we've been praying. Eventually, the music has to stop.
The housing market is flashing red.
We're at a standstill. You can't even sell it at break even all these newer buildings right now.
Homes for sale in the U.S. surging to 500,000.
The loan is due. What are we going to do?
How are you finding good deals right now?
I'm looking every day and I'm lowballing, baby.
Last week, doing another open house today in McCormick Ranch. I actually had a little setback. I ended up having a heart attack 2 weeks ago. I really didn't know what was happening. Thankfully, I popped down some aspirin and I've been to the hospital and I'm back to work now. So everybody out there, just take care of your health because without it, you don't have anything. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about why Zillow is wrong with their Z estimate, why it's probably going away. In many situations, you don't even see it on properties anymore. But with the property we just closed, I want to compare it to another property in the neighborhood, and I can just give you an idea of why Zillow has such a hard time understanding what the true value is on a home. I've gone to Realtor.com and compared them all to see what they say a property's worth. And do you know they can vary up to 10%? Well, 10% is a lot of money. You know, right now they're saying that the real estate market is down around 2%. Can you imagine a difference of 10%? Well, we're seeing some definite discounts, so let's go to the two properties that I'm going to talk about and see what the differences are and understand why it's so hard to figure a value on some of these properties. According to Realtor.com, we're seeing a 31% increase in the national inventory of housing, but we are still below the pre-pandemic levels of inventory. Now, every state is different, every city is different, and every neighborhood is different. Real estate varies quite a bit. 19% of all homes have had price reductions nationally, and in Arizona we're seeing even more than that, with 30% of all homes seeing price reductions. The other thing that people have taken into consideration when they're looking at the market is new home construction and availability of land. I have a nephew that lives up in New Jersey. Up in New Jersey, there's still bidding wars on every home. Why? Because there's no place for people to go and buy new construction. In Phoenix, you can go out, drive about 30 miles outside of the city, and you can find all kinds of new construction. Now in Scottsdale, there's limited land, so you're not going to see that. Some of the cities that seem to hold their own a little better and don't seem to be affected as much by the market are the places where you can't build new homes. Scottsdale's completely out of land. You won't see a lot of new home construction coming unless you're tearing down an existing home. And that's what the investors are doing right now, meaning home builders. But these aren't just regular home builders like D.R. Horton and some of the big ones. These are custom home builders that are buying lots, tearing down homes, and building new custom homes. Now, if you go on the west side of Phoenix, you're going to be up against a lot of new construction, East Mesa, and there you're always going to be trying to sell a resale home versus somebody that can go buy a new home with lower interest rates and all new everything. It just depends on where you want to live if you don't mind the drive. Location, again, location, 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 that's always the most important thing with real estate. When you're out in the suburbs, if you need to sell your home, you could be up against a new home builder and it's going to be a difficult sale. But let's get into the Zillow information on this property we just sold and talk about how Zillow has a hard time putting a Zestimate or a Z estimate on the properties right now. So I just picked two properties in McCormick Ranch. One of them is a home that we just sold. This particular property is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, 2,081 square feet. Now, it was built in 1979, and when you go out and price these homes, you know, the sellers right now, everybody seems to want to price it back to 2022 when we know the market was substantially higher. We've seen price reductions up to 10% on many homes and transactions that we've done recently. Now, the reason that people want to price their home the way they do is for many reasons. I can't share them all, but in this particular instance, the people went and they upgraded into another home and they needed to maximize the money they got out of this home when they bought it. When we originally talked about listing it a year ago, I told them probably right around $900,000 was where we were going to trade. But, you know, time has gone on and we ended up doing some improvements to the property, painting inside and outside. The cabinets were painted, the floors were refinished, and a number of other things. Now, this property is unique because it's in a school district that's very popular for the children. So let's take a look at the pictures here. So this is on around an 8,000 square foot lot built in 1979. $1,999, just under 2,100 square feet. Now in Scottsdale, and they're doing it more and more, you're going to have more gravel lots and stuff in your yard because they're trying to get away from watering. You can see they had a pool. Now the one negative on the exterior of this house was it backed up to a fairly busy road. But that road led to the school, and people that live for here can walk their kids to school, which is really popular with some people. You can see McCormick Ranch right in here. Here's Cochise Elementary, and that's what people are looking for their kids. You can just see in this area, it's just centrally located in Scottsdale. McCormick Ranch is a very popular place to live. Again, the cabinets had been painted. That was before we listed it. The floors refinished. It already had granite countertops. This is some staging, but again, we did some fresh white paint throughout the whole house. I changed out the light fixtures and put in some additional fixtures, which aren't even in this picture actually. I hung curtains in this property, and we went through and staged the bathrooms a little bit too. All right, so why is this so hard for Zillow to comp? So here's another property in the same neighborhood that sold for $470,000 more. Now, when Zillow looks at a house, it's never been inside of a house. Our particular property had a vaulted ceiling, but only in one area, in this little living area right in here. So now let's take a look at this other property. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,400 square feet, and it sold for $475,000 more. So when Zillow looks at two properties in the same proximity, in the same neighborhood, they're trying to come up with an estimate on the property value. What in the world could make it worth $475,000 more? Well, the lot size is about the same. The square footage is 300 square feet bigger. It's not backing up to a busy road. What's that worth? So now we take a look at the pictures from the exterior. It really doesn't look that much different than our property. Now the garage door's got a fresher coat of paint, but you really can't tell that much. From the front yard, they have a little patio out front. That's certainly not going to cost $475,000 more. Let's go on and take a look at the inside. So the first thing that I see, that I know from looking at these homes, is some of these homes have vaulted ceilings throughout. Now, our particular property only had a vault on one side. This particular home has vaults added on both sides of the property. So they tore the roof off the house, put in some new trusses, and raised this roof up, if it wasn't already that way when it was sold last. Now, what they also did is opened up all the interior walls on the property. So you can see that the kitchen area also has a vaulted ceiling. See, our little kitchen just wrapped around right in here, and they were able to open it up and have an island. This window is pretty much the same as our property. They used this back wall, which again we had in our property, but all the walls are removed. This picture gives you a really good idea. This is what people are willing to pay extra for, is a vaulted ceiling. Now, if I was flipping a home, which I've done many, many times, I would be going out and looking for homes like this that were outdated, but they had the loft or the vault already in on both sides. I just know right off the bat that I'm going to get more money for this property. It makes the home feel bigger. It's going to open up things with the kitchen, and then I can have a nice view out to the backyard by adding some additional windows or maybe taking out some walls. You can see how beautiful this remodel was, and it's professionally staged. They added a little wine refrigerator recessed into the wall right over here. They had a nice pool, but we also had a pool, and they added a nice little area out here to keep out of the Arizona sun. So you can see in the primary bedroom, they have a nice soaking tub and a shower, and then they have a bathroom that leads out to the pool. So the fact that Zillow has never been inside of a house, Realtor.com, Redfin, all of them, you know, they put these values out there. How do they really know what one of the homes is worth? Now, we were originally listed at $995,000. That price per square foot was around $478. We ended up selling the home for a discounted price of $459,000, or a discount of around $36,000. Now, during the inspection period, there were a lot of small things that weren't operating properly in the home. The roof was old and needed some updating. But as a seller, you don't always know that if you've never had a leak. The air conditioner was replaced in the last few years. The windows had been updated in the last few years, but the pool needed some replastering, at least in the near future. So that can be expensive. We're doing a pool right now. It ended up being around $25,000, but it needed everything. A simple replaster right now is between $15,000 and $20,000. So we ended up discounting an additional $10,500 for some of these repairs. So roughly around 5% off asking price. Now my sellers were willing to work with this buyer because number one, he was paying cash. Number two, he came to an open house and he ended up representing himself. He had his commercial real estate license. So ultimately we came down around $50,000 on this transaction, which was around 5%. Thanks for watching today. Take a look at some of our other videos. Have a great day.